Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It's all just a big social experiment. I mean, that's what politics is. You have one side offering one worldview and you have another offering another. And when one party is elected or a political trend takes over, then new ideas are implemented. New things are tried, new policies are attempted. It's a social experiment. But we have a little bit of a problem in the modern day. You know, you think that political parties would be crafting their policy based on, I don't know, basic facts and common sense, but of course not. We don't live in that world. The current world is classified as clown world, and so what we do, at least in the Western world, apparently, is elect the most insane, zero experience, social studies major, green-haired artists, or self-described artists, who try to implement the most ridiculous, insane, totally unjustified, not backed in any sound logic or stats type policies. No, they just do whatever feels good, whatever makes them look good. That's basically how you can describe modern liberalism. And boy, is it all starting to backfire and backfire big. Let's continue talking about this open borders nonsense as Western liberals continue to take the L, as Western liberals are now forced with their backs against the wall to essentially finally admit defeat. We're seeing a policy pivot. You know, Democrats will never admit that they were wrong. They'll never say it, but the policy pivot and the messaging pivot is all we need. But the only proof we need is the messaging and policy pivot. Let me show you guys what's going on as insane leftist policies fail once again, surprise to absolutely no one. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So I want to start off with a little bit of a flashback. You know, people constantly say that Democrats don't deserve this. New York doesn't deserve what's happening. It's all Texas's fault, right? New York never asked for any of it. Really? Let's do a little flashback.
As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore." And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you.
Give us your huddled masses. They declared themselves a sanctuary city. They put out messaging essentially saying all are welcome. But obviously, this little social experiment, while it makes them sound and feel all warm and fuzzy inside, was obviously going to lead to one thing and one alone: an unaffordable, chaotic crisis. And that's exactly what happened. Fast forward today, Kathy Hochul went from saying what I showed you in the flashback clip to now, well, essentially what we've been covering the last little while.
We're at our limit. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else. Well, we want them to have a limit on who can come across the border. It is too open right now. We hit our capacity.
So now according to Kathy Hochul, quote, "The border is too open." Wait a second, I mean, for years and years, we have been warning them of the destructive nature of, quote, "open border policies," and they have responded forever, for years, that the notion that their policies equate to an open border is ridiculous. It's a Republican conspiracy theory. The White House multiple times has stated, quote, that the border is secure.
The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
It is my testimony that the border is secure.
We have a secure border.
We agree that the border is secure.
The border is secure.
It's not actually a problem. It's simply a Republican talking point. And now here we have Governor Kathy Hochul, the governor of the second most populous Democrat state, now essentially admitting that the border is too open. Yeah, you think? Turns out we were right again. It turns out all you need to predict the future is a couple working brain cells in the smallest of exposure to Democrat insane policies make the most obvious prediction ever that most likely these said Democrat policies are going to backfire, and you'll probably be right, I mean, at least 9 out of 10 times. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? What were they expecting is probably the best question. Diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. strength, they say. They just repeat the same line over and over and over and over again, as if simply repeating this vapid, overly simplistic, naive platitude is simply gonna make it true. They're gonna speak it into existence. Diversity is our strength. Well, apparently not so much. Leftoids are finally learning that open, unfettered, unvetted, uncontrolled immigration, yeah, it's probably a bad thing. Simply accepting the world's poor masses without filter brings a whole lot of problems with it. Who would have thunk? Well, apparently the country of Sweden, which many times has been referenced by leftoids as a story of success on the issue of immigration, well, apparently, just like New York, they're learning the same hard lesson, as we're now learning that the Swedish government is deploying the military to assist police cracking down on no-go zone gangs. In other words, criminal gangs and enterprises in largely immigrant neighborhoods who have brought nothing but chaos, disorder, and violence to previously calm, peaceful Swedish neighborhoods.
Huge news, everybody! The Swedish government has announced they will be deploying the military now to assist the police in fighting the no-go zone gangs. The military will be helping with things like expertise, surveillance, personnel, helicopters and so on to help the police. We now have 61 no-go zones, some areas which the police describe as lawless areas, areas where parallel societies are forming, and the gangs have been increasingly getting more and more control in these areas. We have seen over 130 bombings so far this year in Sweden. We have been seeing shootings now every day, bombings every other day. Things have really been escalating out of control, and now the Swedish government is cracking down on it. They have announced tough new measures to...
Nothing to see here, folks. Diversity is our strength, they say. Open the borders, they say. Because apparently, our strength comes from harboring neighborhoods that become so violent that they become no-go zones. You can't go there anymore. Shootings, stabbings, explosions. Nothing to see here, folks. The woke Swedish government is finally learning a lesson, finally experiencing a frickin' reality check. This has been a problem since like before 2016. I remember Tim Pool did that infamous video about the Swedish no-go zones. I think that video was probably one of the biggest moments for Tim Pool's career, or at least his transition towards YouTube. Well, it turns out with liberal governments, when you have a clear, obvious, totally chaotic situation that's a direct result of leftist policies, it turns out you just gotta wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years for these leftist politicians to actually accept the crisis as it is, to accept the basic facts related to the outcome of their policies. It takes 8 years for them to do a pivot. I don't know, man. Call me crazy. Call me an extremist. You know, I think diversity could be a strength in a certain way. I don't think immigration's the worst thing ever. One thing that leftists say that is true is that the United States is a nation of immigrants, but it's a nation of legal immigrants all coming together under one banner, under one nation, one set of rules and set of standards, one culture to create something greater than themselves, not this illegal immigration fragmented kind of system where assimilation isn't expected. In fact, assimilation is frowned upon. This open system of accepting literally anybody. This nonsense open border chaos that has no interest in assimilation, that simply wants to bring in cheap labor, creating a permanent underclass of low-skilled labor and importing criminal and terroristic elements without vetting, with this naivete as if the stuff doesn't exist or it's just gonna go away with our compassion. We're just gonna be so nice with open borders and puppies and flowers everywhere. It's gonna be so nice that we're gonna turn people's hearts around. Yeah, no, stupid, naive policy. And now lefties across the world are taking one big, massive, collective L. That's exactly what it is. The globalists are taking an L. Whether it's the leftist globalists in Sweden, Italy, Spain, Greece, whatever it is, the Western globalist illegal immigration agenda is falling apart before our very eyes. At least it only took them a decade to realize. I'd argue that's record time in the world of leftism. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.